first engines or not, today is a first. So we're gonna hit on a diesel. It's highly requested. Let's talk about the FCA Ecodiesel. So this was first released in 2014 in the United States. The specific engine had been in existence before in other countries, but the US first saw it in 2014. Consumers were very excited. It was the first time that a diesel was being put in 1500 pickup trucks since like the early 2000s. We had never seen this kind of fuel efficiency in a full-size pickup truck before, so everyone had high hopes. I know that we can all remember the whole Volkswagen emission scandal that happened, so I'm not going to hit on that a lot. I will just say that FCA did not have a lot of the same problems that VW did. They did, however, have to make some changes to meet those new regulations, and instead of issuing buybacks, they just had to repair the vehicles that were already on the road. The engine went through a lot of redesigns and updates throughout the years, the biggest one probably being for the model year 2020, where the engine was essentially completely redesigned. And we all know by now that 2023 will be the last year for the Ecodiesel. Let's get into the problems. Take a seat, grab a drink. We're gonna be here for a while. So this truck has an advertised towing capacity of 12,560 pounds. This is a 1500 pickup. I personally think that if I was towing that much on a regular basis, I would probably be looking for a larger vehicle, but nonetheless, it is advertised to be able to handle that much. Time is the true storyteller. We have all learned by now that realistically, this truck cannot handle towing that much without overheating, which leads us into our first problem, which is the oil cooler failing. And so when your oil cooler fails, you're gonna have coolant and oil mixing, coolant in your oil passages and oil in your coolant passages, and eventually a contaminated cooling system is going to fail. This is very problematic for a lot of different reasons. They did extend warranties to help remedy this problem. It is also worth it to note that there are plenty of aftermarket coolers available out there to help you avoid this problem. Next on the list, these engines utilized a Bosch fuel pump, and these were known to essentially self-destruct and send metal debris into the fuel system. So your fuel rails, your fuel lines, your fuel injectors are all gonna be clogged, and this was bad enough for them to issue a recall for it. I think the recall was finally issued in 2022, and it applies to 2014 to 2019 year models. There was also a recall issued for this next one, which is your EGR cooler. EGR system is responsible for recirculating exhaust gases back through the combustion chamber so that less emissions is released from the engine. And those exhaust gases are very hot when they are released, so the job of the EGR cooler is to cool them down. And what would end up happening is that this cooler would go so hot that it would develop cracks and it would eventually start leaking. And this is going to cause danger to the engine, such as overheating, and even in some situation it was causing fires, which is why the recall was issued. There was yet another recall that was issued for the exhaust couplers on the Rams. The Jeeps utilize a different exhaust coupler, so it didn't affect them, but essentially failure of the exhaust coupler would cause the cabin of the vehicle to fill up with fumes and gases, and a recall was issued. Consumers also report having issues with the camshaft gear and the timing chain slipping. And basically this camshaft gear is held in by one bolt. Time is not good to that one bolt, and over time it does eventually loosen up. This is going to cause a lot of problems. I mean, this can cause anything from misfires to catastrophic engine damage. I think I've hit on most of the big problems. A lot of these problems were more prevalent early on, so 2014 to 2016. And like I said, they were making updates as time went on. And then obviously we have this completely new redesign that was released in 2020. I think that obviously they aren't high enough in mileage yet to know whether this redesign was a success, but only time will tell.